The word fan film, I think, didn't really evolve until after the film Troops came out. That, I think, was the first fan film that said, hey, not only can you make a movie that is in the same spirit, with the same characters, you can have the same production value.
Troops is filmed on location with the men of the Imperial forces. All suspects are guilty, period. Otherwise, they wouldn't be suspect, would they?
We had seen the Star Wars Special Edition, and somebody said, you know, it'd be really funny is if you crossed cops with Star Wars. And, you know, we're all laughing. God, that would be great. And then, you know, there was a silence, and we're walking through the parking lot. I'm going, anybody going to take that? And there's no. I said, anybody mind if I take that? And they said, no, not at all. So
I joined the Empire about 6 years ago. I can remember as a kid, you know, watching the holographic images and being excited about the new direction that the galaxy was taking.
It was so spot on. It was so funny. And it parodied, you know, two things. It parodied Star Wars, it parodied cops. It was brilliant.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You want to come over here, please? Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Troops was spectacular. It looked like Star Wars, but it made the troopers themselves interesting characters. They weren't spear carriers anymore. Suddenly they had personalities.
It was the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of it. The idea of there was the part of the movie you didn't see, the other half of the story, the fact that some of these other characters had these lives that weren't in the final film.
Now, we're familiar with this couple. You know, this is not the first time we've been out here, so we're going to see if we can straighten this whole thing out. Well, what's the problem?
I've had it with him. He keeps lying to Luke and me, and now Luke's run off and hasn't come back.
That's ridiculous. Hey! I'll talk to you in a second. Right now I'm talking to your wife, all right?
Okay. I never watch Cops anymore because that's all I can think about. I can just think about Troops. The reason Troops exploded like a landmine was we'd had 10 years off. Lucasfilm had really let the land go fallow for like a good 10 years by that point.
when we were shooting this, there were rumors of the new Star Wars film. So here we are in the desert. It's a pretty professional looking crew. The only thing that gave us away was the camera. It was a Sony Hi8 camera. And so people see stormtroopers walking around of that quality, and we couldn't convince people that we were not Star Wars.
You know, these costumes, I was like, where do these people get this stuff? It looked like they raided Lucasfilm archives.
Just before the 501st, people didn't know how to make their own at the time. And so, yeah, I imagine tapping into people that could dress in costume like that was a hard thing to do.
The day that Star Wars Special Edition premiered, front page of the Los Angeles Times had a picture highlighting 4 stormtroopers. 2 of them are twins. They're girls. You'll see the ones wearing the high heels. Those are the girls. When we premiered it at the Comic-Con, rightly so, it really wasn't looked on as something big before it was screened.
That screening at Troops, that was a game changer.
The very first effects shot, you could hear the reaction of the crowd thinking, well, it looks like Star Wars, but I don't remember that shot. And then the next effect shot is trooper bikes, and everybody knows there was never anything like that there. So then the audience like, whoa!
The effects were on a level that nobody expected. Like, you know, some of those scenes, you go, whoa, that looks like an ILM shot.
That really started the explosion of fan films, was right after Kevin Rubio screened Troops.
Chris Gore came to me and he said, hey, I want to put it on my site, and there are these other guys who want to put it kind of as a mirror. They run the most popular Star Wars site on the web.
That was the film that kind of launched theforce.net and got so many people excited and thinking about this idea of creating fan films.
Once it got on, it crashed servers. From what I remember, it crashed Oprah's server, it crashed Newsweek's server, because they all were being run by the same company. And so when you start doing that, people start wondering, what the hell is crashing and everything? And then, you know, the story starts floating around. Wow, it's this movie, and people are waiting 10, 20, you know, hours to download this thing.
We were on dial-up. It was like 40 megs. It took like 8 hours to download, and, you know,
Good times.
Troops was probably the first viral video because, I mean, the concept didn't even exist at the point that you could download an entire movie off the internet. And once people got a taste of that, they're like, you know, I wonder what else I could find on the internet.
If you take out porn, I'm fairly confident saying it's still one of the most downloaded pieces, you know, ever.
Okie doke. Shut the camera off.
The guys that were my troopers do an offshoot called Imps, which initially was called Troops 2, which I gave my blessing to. They changed it, I think, probably for the better, because if it had been Troops 2, even though I hadn't been associated with it, people would have associated me with it, and they would not get the credit that is deserving of them.
Troops has such staying power in my mind. It was so visual, it was so clever, it was brilliant. Kevin Rubio just hit the jackpot with that one.
Well, we didn't find the droids we were looking for, but we did find one that a kid had reported stolen. So he and his parents are gonna come down to the detention center and pick it up.
Boy, I'll bet they'll be happy.
Yep, that's what it's all about.